Okay. So, guys, I want to welcome you guys again to our live analysis class and also market structure. So, this topic is basically market structure, which has to do with, you know, the structure of the market. When you open your trading charts to analyze, the first thing you look at is whether the market is bullish or bearish, or whether this market is an uptrend or a downtrend. This is literally the first thing you look at as a trader. Now, the failure of you not knowing or identifying the structure of the market is just basically you not knowing how to analyze. So it's very important not knowing what forex is all about, or how to analyze the forex market, or how to determine the outcome when it comes to trading. So it's very important that as someone who wants to trade, who wants to analyze, you know how to how to identify the market structure, or know the various direction that the market is going. But anyway, guys, today we're looking at market structure, as I said, and we'll be looking at BOS, and we will be looking at change of character, which is CHOC, if you know what that is. So we are looking at BOS, we are looking at change of character, right? We're looking at higher highs, we're looking at higher lows on this call before we begin, you know, before we go directly into the analysis part. Sorry, us looking for trade ideas. Well, anyways, we'll be drawing out. I will be drawing out, market structure. Let me quickly write it out so that we know. Yeah, this is the main topic that is on here. So we're looking at for a text. We're looking at the market market structure. Yes, that's our topic for today. Market structure. Yeah. So we're going to make that mm, okay, so we're going to put that over here because that's what we're looking at today, which is market structure. Let me quickly shift that up again. Okay. Excuse me, guys. Okay. Now, then again, so we're looking at market structure, which is, the movement of the market. Now, when we talk about market structure, there are ideal things you will know when it comes to market structure, right? The ideal market structure, sorry, before that, when you open your chart to trade or to analyze, the first thing you look at is the direction of the market, yeah? The first thing that you look at is the direction of the market, right? When we look at I have to write that again, excuse me. When we look at the market here, we are looking if the market is an uptrend or a downtrend. That's the first thing when you open, or a consolidating trend, right? When you look at the market, we look at the market if the market is an uptrend or a downtrend or a consolidating trend. Let me show you what I mean. When we look at the forex market, we're looking at the forex market in this light, right? Is this an uptrend? Is this a downtrend? Right? So when you open the forex market to analyze, you want to find out if that market is an uptrend, right? If that market is, an uptrend, something that is going up, basically. Excuse me, let me make this thicker. Good. So we're looking at if the market is an uptrend, yeah, right? So this is an uptrend, yeah, right? So we're looking if the market is an uptrend. This is an ideal market, an ideal uptrend, an ideal, this is an ideal pattern, right? We are being taught market is supposed to be doing uptrend. This is the ideal movement of an uptrend, right? So in this case, we say that this is the fractal movement of the market. The word fractal, I'm going to write it out, right? This is the fractal movement of the market. Another word for fractal simply means this is what is expected of the forex market. This is what we know. This is the pattern that the forex market is supposed to be creating, right? This is the fractal movement of the forex market, right? I have to write this down. Right, good. So the fractal is what is the main English here, right? So this is the fractal movement of the forex. This is what we're expecting. If we're saying this, if we're saying market is going on an uptrend, we expect market to be doing up, down, right? For a proper movement, for a proper pattern, right? So we said this is an uptrend pattern, right? This is an uptrend pattern, right? Now, obviously, again, in the other light, this is because your account is seriously. Okay, can you guys hear me? Please drop a one. If you can hear me, please drop a one. Okay, thank you. Cool. Now, when we also say that we are having, when we say we are, we are, guys, please give me a minute. Please give me a minute. My voice is sounding far. Okay. Is anybody else that is noticing that my voice is sounding far? Is anybody else seeing that my voice is sounding far? Or is it okay? Okay, cool. So as I was saying, yeah. So this is the fractal movement. This is what we know, right? As the normal movement when it comes to an uptrend. Now, if it is a downtrend as well, this is the same thing we also know. This is a normal way to identify, if market is a downtrend. So downtrend goes like this. This is the fractal movement. When I say fractal, it simply means the normal pattern that we have been taught. We have been taught when it comes to analysis that this is the perfect way that market is supposed to move. But at the end of the day, sincerely, right, this is not what we expect to happen, what will eventually happen when it comes to market movement. Market doesn't even just move like this. When you look at the normal charts, market doesn't actually move like the way I have mapped it out, right? The way the ideal movement, market doesn't actually just move like this, right? Now, sorry, this comes from up, not down. This comes from up, not down. Right. So market doesn't just move like this. If you look at here, you will see that if you look at here, let's take good for no, let me not take good because this will go back to normal. Let's take this for example. If you look at this here, you will see that this is a downtrend. Can you see this is a downtrend? But even the way that this is a downtrend. But okay, let me look for a proper uptrend and a downtrend. Okay, good. You can see that this is an uptrend, yeah, basically, right? But you will notice here that market did not even move the way. Like when I did my own up and down, basically, when I did my up down, when I did my down, up, down, excuse me, down, up, down, right? This is the normal bullish pattern. You can see that one market, even looking at it from here, you can see that market did not do it exactly the way I did it, right? You can see that market didn't do it exactly the way I did it, right? So this is the ideal way that we have been taught that, oh, this is a bullish movement. But when market wants to perform its own magic, it doesn't go the way we have mapped it out. If you notice, this is more straighter than what I just drew, right? This is like up without doing up down too much, right? But also, um, let me quickly now show you what the exact movement when it comes to markets should looks like, right? Let me show you what the exact movement when it comes to markets actually now looks like, right? Let me show you what it looks like. So let me clear this, and yeah, so I'm going to clear this now. But before I clear that, another thing we want to take note of is higher highs, higher lows, lower highs, lower lows, right? First of all, before I show you the normal movement that market eventually does, right? So there's something we call higher highs, higher lows, and these are the levels that markets create in order for you to create this pattern, right? So this is a high, right? This is a high. Here is a high. So I'm going to label it out. So we call here a high, right? So we call here a high, right? So this is a high. This area here is a high. This market is a bullish market, yeah? So this is a high. And then this is another high, right? This is another high. So we call here high as well, higher high. So it simply means that, this high here is higher than this high here. Let me put that out properly. Where's my brush? Excuse me. Okay. So it simply means that this high here that you're seeing here is higher than this high here, right? And so on and so forth. So the higher the high, the higher the higher, right? Basically. And then we're looking at here now, and this is higher low, right? This is higher low, right? This is HL. This is higher low. This is a low. This is a high that is high, but on the other side is actually low, right? Here. So this is higher low. Just in case you don't know that, I know some of you already know this, but no problem. So this is a higher low. This is another higher low as well, right? This is another higher low here as well. It simply means that this low, this high is low, but this one is higher than the previous low, right? So this is higher high. The upside is higher high, and the downside is higher low. Also, the upside can also be regarded as external structure. Let me write that out. Just in case you don't know this, yeah? The outer side, this higher high area, can also be regarded as external structure. All right? It can be regarded as external structure, right? While the inside will be regarded as the internal structure, right? So the inside is regarded as the internal structure. So here we call it the internal structure. So here is regarded as this under, right? Here is internal structure, here is internal structure, here is internal structure, here is internal structure. Meanwhile, this is an uptrend, right? The same way too, if it is a downtrend, you know, internal structure, external structure, good. So here is external structure, here is internal structure. Now, in a downtrend, it is the same thing, right? In a downtrend, we have a downtrend, and a downtrend is this way. And in a downtrend, we have lower high, lower low. So in a downtrend, we have lower highs, lower lows. Let me quickly draw that. So in a downtrend, we have lower highs and lower lows in a downtrend, right? Lower highs and lower lows. Do you guys know that as a trader, I often struggle with drawing downtrends? Did you know that? Like when I want to actually draw it, I often struggle. And I have been trading for 4 years. I hope this makes sense to even looking at it. Now, anyways, so when we look at here, here is lower highs, right? Here is our lower highs, right? Here is lower high, all right? Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, right? While the one from under are lower lows, LL, right? So the ones from under are lower lows. Here. So let me put capital. Okay. While from the ones that are from under is a lower low. So here's a lower low, here's a lower low, here's a lower low, here's a lower low, right? So this is basically, right, the structure of the market that we know. Also, here, internal structure, which is over here, is internal structure. And here, here is external structure for a lower, for a bearish, pattern. Here is a lower structure and external structure, external, right? While the inside is an internal structure, right? The inside is an internal structure. So this is basically the ideal market movement that we know, right? So we have higher highs, higher lows, higher high, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? Now, another thing that we want to take note of is break of structure. All right. Another thing now that we want to take note of is break of structure, right? We have break of structure. And when do we know when market is going to break, right? When do we know when market is going to break? So let's look at break of structure quickly with a bullish movement. So as we know, higher high, right? Up, down, up, down. Now, this is a bullish movement, yeah? So this is a bullish pattern. This means this market I've drawn is buying, right? So this is a bullish movement. This is a bullish pattern. Good. Now, when do we identify break of? How do we identify break of structure? What do we mean by break of structure? Break of structure simply means when a market breaks an area it's previously that was the previous high, all right? That was the previous major high, right? This was the major high previously, all right? So I'm going to write it out here. This was the P major high, right? The P there is for previous, right? So this was the previous major high here, right? Now, market has gone down and broken that major high and broken the previous major high and created another major high. So market doing so, we call it break of structure, BOS, right? We call it BOS because market has broken the previous high that it created before, right? Market has broken the previous high that it created before. So we call it here, this breaking towards the upside, break of structure. Now that this market has gone up and broken this as this previous high, right? It will come down again and break it. And if it breaks it again, this one now becomes a previous high as well, right? This one's now also becomes a previous high as well. So previous high, this becomes a previous high too. And market doing so, we also say that this market has broken structure. So market breaking this area that it formerly created before and break it and create another high that is higher than this previous high, we call that break of structure. So here is a break of structure, right? Here is a break of what? Break of structure. If you look at the pattern of this market, for example, for an uptrend, again, I'm using uptrend, right? If you look at the pattern of, I'm using this as an example. This is not a break of structure proper, right? So if you look at the pattern of the market here, you will see that the market was creating up, down, up, right? And you will see that here, is higher than here, right? You will see that here is higher than here. Let me draw that out. This is not a break of structure, by the way, because this is not proper, but this gives a clear example of what I'm trying to explain, right? So, or let me look for a proper one that actually broke. Good. This broke, right? Now, you can see that the market created up, down. Now, when the market came back up, it now broke the previous high, right? It broke the previous high and shot up, right? It broke the previous high and shot up, right? When it shot up, right, this area that it has broken, we will say that it has broken structure, right? We will say that, this is an example, by the way. We will say that market has broken what? Has broken structure. So this is here is known as BOS, meaning the structure that it previously created, it has broken and it has gone up. Now, let's say that when this market got over here, let's say that when this market got over here, it came down, right? And then went up again and then broke this area, right? And broke this area. We will say that market has broken the previous high and the market has broken structure and gone towards the upside, right? So here also will be a break of structure. Here also will be a break of structure. Here will be a break of structure as well, right? Will be a break of structure as well. So when things like this, when you see things like this, you know that this is BOS, this is break of structure. This is what break of structure simply means, right? So now let me ask in the group if you guys have questions. Did we get that on break of structure? The same thing applies if it's a downtrend as well, right? The same thing applies as well if it is a downtrend, right? The same thing applies if it is a downtrend. If it's a downtrend, let's look at this one, for example, because this is a downtrend small here. So let's look at it from here. If it's a downtrend, right, it is the same thing. So this is a downtrend, yes, good. So when markets, came up, right, came, sorry, this is a wrong, market came up, right, came down, right, and then did what? And broke this area. This is not a proper breakup because this is not even a breakup structure. Yeah, this is not a pattern. Well, but I'm just using this as an example. Broke here and then came down. Right now, let me look for a proper one that makes much sense. Nah, okay. Just because looking for. Okay, cool. I've seen one here. So this is a downtrend over here, yeah? So I'm just going to use this as an example. So market came down, went up, came down, did not respect here, broke out of it, right? Broke out of it, right? We'll say, yes, market has now done a break of what? Of structure around this area, right? Market has now done a break of structure around this area, right? So you can see here, this one is not great, but I'm just going to use an example. You can see here, market broke out of this place, right? And then came down. When it came down, this was the previous low, right? This was the previous major low. So we say this is for sell, sorry, for buy, for if it's a buy, we'll say this was the previous major high. So it broke out of the previous major high. This is for if it's a buy, right? It broke out of the previous major high to create another one. Here we say it has created BOS after if it's a buy, if it's a bullish trend, right? If it is a bullish trend, if it's a bullish trend, we will say that yes, it has broken a previous major high, right, and created a break of structure. If it was a bullish trend, we say previous major high, right? But if it is a bearish trend, we say previous major low. So here, what it did here is previous major low. So he created the previous major low here. He broke out of it. So I'm going to write it out. So previous major low, PML. The other one was PMH, right? So previous major low around here, right? So this was the major low before, but then he broke out of it, came down, right? Broke out of it, came down, and went back up. Now, when he did so, right? When he did so, he came down again. This was now the major low around here. I'll use here as an example. He came down again and broke this previous major low and went down again. So this is now another, previous major low over here, right? This is now another previous major low over, over here, right? Over here, right? So in doing so, it has broken structure here and here in my where the green lines are, right? In doing so, it has broken structure here and here, right? So this is basically break of structure. Market breaking, areas that it has previously created. It created a low here, it broke out of it, came down, created another low over here. Let me map that out just in case some of you are not seeing it. He created a low around here. Again, this is not the proper one, but I'll use it. He created a low around here, came down, broke out of it, created another low here, came up, broke out of it, and came down. Right. So this is a previous low, this is a previous low, and obviously, as you know, this is a downtrend, right? This is a downtrend. This is a lower low. If you also want to map out that higher high, you can see lower high here. Abi? Yeah, you can see lower high here, HL. For a downtrend though, you can see lower high here, you can see another lower high here, right? This is for a downtrend. And then you can see higher low here, lower lows here, right? You can see lower lows over here, LL, right? You can see LL here, and you can see another LL here, and you can see another LL even here, LL even here. Now, when market was creating all this, all of a sudden, market then came back. Market then came back and was not creating lower highs anymore. Market then came back and then went towards the upside. In this case, we will now say that market has changed structure, or market has changed character, which leads us to CHO. So market structure, market change of market structure, change of character, change of direction, change of trend. Market that was previously selling, all of a sudden, that was creating lower high, lower low, all of a sudden came down, did not create it anymore, pushed back up, and changed the normal structure that it was creating before and started creating something different. In this case now, we'll say that market has changed character, or market has basically changed structure. Again, I don't know if you get it. Initially, you can see that it was creating a downtrend, but all of a sudden, it came by to meet the previous low, right? It came back to meet the previous low. Market that was creating a downtrend, it was creating downtrend. It was selling aggressively, but all of a sudden came back here and had a change of direction, had a change of structure, had a change of character. And how did he have a change of character? He came to now meet the previous low, the previous higher low. If it's a downtrend, it came back to meet the previous higher low. Initially, it was supposed to do this. Initially, it was supposed to, I hope you guys can see my drawings. Initially, it was supposed to do this. Come down here towards the lower low, come back up a little, not too much, a little. Continue down, come back again, continue. That is what it's supposed to do. Because obviously, what? It is a what? It is a downtrend. Abi? But all of a sudden, it did not do that anymore. It came down, created a low, and then went back up, created a low, and then went back up towards the upside. All right? But then again, there are ways to find out whether this thing is going to continue to sell down or to go back up. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. All right? Some us as traders, and even if you are here as a full-time fledged trader, even if you are here as a full-time fledged trader, who is here that's been trading for a very long time? Is anybody here that has been trading for a very long time? Amazing. Now, in order for you to determine whether market is going to break and continue a lower low pattern, right? Just like it did here, right? Just like it did here. Excuse me, guys. I'm coming. I'm looking at something, guys. Before I explain what I wanted to explain. Okay. I'll come back to what I wanted to explain, guys. Yeah. So that is it basically, right? So market had a change of character, market had a change of structure. So those are the things when we say break of structure, when we say change of character, when we say market structure, basically, these are the basic things, that most of the time we look at. But what I just explained to you is the ideal situation of what market is supposed to look like, right? Is the ideal. When someone say ideal, it simply means the idea, the picture that we have been painted in our head of what market is supposed to look like. But in retrospect, in actual reality, this is the way bullish trend goes. Right? In actual reality, this is the way bullish trend goes. Now do small, 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 small. To do small, small. Boom. Abi? If you look at the market, this is the way it goes some most of the time. It will do boom. To come back again. It will do, small, small movement. It will do as if he wants to buy, come down, then boom. This is actually the way market, moves most of the time. But from here, then maybe here will come down, maybe here good. Then to come down small, and then it will go again, major movement. And when it does major movement again, this was not properly done. Here was not. Then it will to come down, to retrace. This is when retracement usually happens. To retreat, to do as if he wants to buy, then boom. Right. I didn't draw this well, but I don't know if someone gets it. Like most of the time, right? This is what happens in the market. Most of the time, this is what happens. This is how the movement is. All right. Most of the time, when we look at the forex market, most of the time, most of the time, this is how the movement looks like. All right. I didn't draw this one well, but yeah, most of the time, this is how basically it looks like, right? But what our ideal, what they have taught us, or what we know is this. Oh, that this is the pattern of the market, right? This is the pattern of the market. Yeah, good. But most of the time, when you look at your charts, it looks like this, right? It looks like this. Right. So these are, if it's a bullish trend, if it's a bullish movement, right? These are, here, all this area where my market is touching, where my arrow now will be touching, these are regarded as where my green arrow, all these places that my green arrow, all these places that my green arrow is touching, these are regarded as the major markets, major highs, right? These are regarded as the major highs. These are regarded as the major buys, right? While all these ones between, are regarded as, the retracements, sometimes you are trading, market have a pullback. You would think maybe it's about to sell, then it drops, right? Let me put out the pattern properly. Let me put out, the pattern properly. Give me a minute, guys. Let me put out the pattern of what I mean properly. Let me redraw that again. So when I redraw that again, okay, so we have a buy, right? And then market does this, market comes down a bit, market do as if he wants to sell, then he push back a bit, then you think he wants to sell, wants to buy, then he comes down again, and then boom, he buys up again, right? Then market comes down again, then buys up small, you think he wants to do this, and then he comes back again and comes back up. No, not here, then goes back, then comes back, then boom, right? So this is the ideal, movement that we see. Right, good. This is the ideal movement that we see when I think this one is much, much better. Right, this is the ideal movement. This is a bullish. This is the way we look. This is where market appears. If you look at it here, you see these are how the movements are. Basically, this is what I mean. You can see here again. He's buying. All of a sudden, he does that. He does wrong this thing. He's buying. All of a sudden, this is a major move here, a major high here. This place is a major high, right? And then all of it's going, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, it goes up, boom. It gives you a major high, meaning a high, it gives you that high. It gives you that high over here. It gives that high over here that is higher than this high, right? But you can see all the noise that it has already done here. But still, at the end of the day, it continue that up pattern, right? So this is what we eventually see when we, this is what we eventually see when we analyze, right? This is what we eventually see when we analyze or when we are looking at market pattern, right? But at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, these ones are called the major highs, right? These ones are called the major highs, right? The major high. Why? Whatever happens here again are called what? What is here called? What are here called? What are this area called? What are this area called? Let me know if you guys are following. Yeah, exactly. These areas they are called BOS. These areas they are called break of structure. Amazing. Right? These areas they are called break of structure. Right? These areas they are called break of structure. So this is what we eventually see when it comes to trading the forex market. Can anybody tell me what? And this is higher high, higher high. Abi, can anybody tell me what this area is called? Can anybody tell me what all these small noisy areas? Can anybody tell me what this internal noise area here, what they are called? Well, yeah, a bit of consolidating pattern, yeah, but these are also known as the internal structure. Yes, you are correct. But this is also, internal structure. These are where the retracement. Oh, you see, market, you say market has retraced a bit, market wants to retrace a bit. These are where we call internal structure. Also, in as much as here is the major high, in as much as here is the major high, right? In as much as is the here is the major high. Here is the previous major high. Here is another previous major high. Here is even another high, right? Also, this area here is now regarded as major low, previous major low, right? This is the previous major, excuse me, this is the previous major low over here. Allow me type, people. Well, anyway, this is the previous major low here. This is another low here. This is another low here. But this is the main previous major low. And when this main previous low comes here, this will now be the main previous low. And when it breaks here, this will now even be the main previous low as well. Right. So this is it basically on market structure. Now, if it was a sell, reverse is the opposite, right? If it was a sell, reverse is the opposite, right? If it was a sell, it is still basically the same thing. So let me quickly draw that out just in case you don't know that, right? So if it was a sell, it is the same thing. Let's draw that out. So a sell will start like this, obviously, and then a sell will do small pattern, small movement, small stress, small movement, and then drop, right? And then it will come back again, do small movement, small pattern, small movement, small pattern, small movement, and then and then drop, right? And then it will do that, and then it will go up, right? And then it will, and then it will even drop, and then it will drop further, right? So this is it if it was a bearish movement, right? This is it if it was a bearish movement, right? Now, the breaking of here, when it breaks here, it has broke structure, right? It has broken structure. So here is BOS, right? Here is BOS. Here as well. If it's from the up, if it's from the downside, here is the BOS, right? I'm just doing so we can identify BOSs, right? Something that was coming down previously, all of a sudden went up to create upper pattern, but then came down and broke the area that made it to start creating upper pattern to create another lower low, another lower movement. This is a low here. This is a low here. This is a low here, right? The low that is lower than, sorry, this is a low, this is a lower high. This is a lower high here as well. Over here, this is a lower high here. I need to push this one up a bit, right? But then this is a lower low, right? The low that is lower than this low is lower than this low, right? And when it does that, it has broken structure. Now, the same thing here as well. When this low, right, has a low that is lower than it, it has, you guys get what I mean, basically, right? You get what I mean. So that is it, when we look at all these things, when it comes to, the market, right? When we look at all these things, when it comes to the market. But let's quickly head back again to what happens if there is now a change of character, right? What happens if there is now a change of character, right? What happens if there is a change of character? Change of character simply, happens when a market that was previously going into a certain direction, all of a sudden decides to do something else, right? All of a sudden decides to do something else. What do I mean? Let me start from here, right? Let me start from here, right? Now, there are major and minor change of character. There are major and there are minor change of character. Let me start by deleting this gradually without deleting everything. And then I'll give you how to identify when market is about to change its character. I'll give you 3 ways to identify when market is about to change of character. Most of the mistakes that traders do is that they don't know when a change of character will occur in price action when it comes to normal market structure. Now, in here is change of character, meaning if market decide not to go in the direction that it was going to before, we now say that that market is changing character, right? If market decide not to go into the direction that it was going before, right, we say that that market is changing character. But we have major change of character and we have high change, minor change of character. What you are seeing here, this, all of this, all of this over here, right, is change of character. All these things are basically, change of character. Everything you're seeing here somehow is, right? These are changes of character. These are change of character, right? These are, let me push this up. Pull this down a bit. Good, good. So this is basically change of character. Market trying to go in a way that remember it's supposed to be buying, but all of a sudden it's like creating this up and down movement. Market came down, rested here, pushed up, came down, then broke, right? So this is minor. This is known as change of character, but this is a minor change of character over here. Where's my text, right? This is a minor change of character. CHOC, right? So CHOC minor, basically minor change of character. So this is CHOC minor. Let me reduce that to 8. Good. So this is CHOC minor. Change the color to red. Now, so this is a CSOC minor. Change of character simply means market not going into the direction that the major movement is going, right? So the major movement is a buy, but in between, market decided to take a change of character, but this one is a minor one, right? The same thing as applies here as well. Over here too, this is a minor change of character over here as well. Or I will say this, yeah. This is a minor change of character, either from the up or anyone. This is a minor, change of character over here, basically. I'll take this up small. Yeah, good. Minor change of character over here, right? So this is a small CHOCH something something minor CHOCH CHOCH. Good. Right. So this is a minor one, right? And the reason why it's a minor one is because apparently it did not really cause any harm or any offense. right? The reason why it is a minor one is apparently it did not really cause any harm or any offense. Now, do you know when it will be a major one? When it will be a major change of character and the change of market direction, right? The change of market direction is if when it came here, if when it came here, it came down, it was coming down and broke here. Let me explain. Market was buying. This is a bullish trend. Right? This is a bullish trend, yeah? Yes, I hope you are still here. This is a bullish trend, yeah? Abi? This is a major, this is a major what? A major, this is a major high. This is a major high. This is a major high. This is a higher 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 low. This is a major higher low. This was a previous major higher low. This as well was a previous major higher low. When this previous major higher low was broken by this this one became irrelevant. Not yet irrelevant fully, but it became irrelevant. So we'll consider this one as the main one now. We consider this one as the main one now. Since the market did not break this one, we'll consider this one as the main one. Let's assume that this market, right, came down, went up, right? Let's assume, we're assuming, I'll remove it, right? We are still assuming. Let's assume that the market came down, went up. When it did this one now will cease being the major one. This one will no longer be the major one anymore. This next one will be the major one. So this will now be the major one. So this will be the major lower high. Sorry, higher low. Right? This will be the major higher low. This would be like the major this thing here, basically. Right? So, but in my explanation already, I was already using this one. I'm removing this. Oh, okay. Excuse me, guys. Okay, so as I was saying, right? So in order for us to, oh my God, in order for us to identify where's my replay? I forgot my replay doesn't good. In order for us to identify, our major, right? In order for us to identify our major change of character, for example, right? Let's say that when this market got here, right? Let's say that when this market got here, instead of it to push up, it decided to start coming down. It decided to start coming down. To come and meet here. It decided to start coming down to come and meet here. It's coming down to meet here and eventually breaking here is now known as change of character, change of structure, change of direction. It simply means that market has now changed form and want to create another new movement. Either it now wants to create, either coming down here, it now wants to create a downtrend. Something that was previously uptrend, all of a sudden, now wants to create a downtrend. In fact, to even want to create a flip zone and continue to now wants to create a downtrend. So when it does this that I just talked about, we will say that that market has now done a change of character, a change of structure. It has now met the previous major low that was here. Its market came down, something that was supposed to buy and be going up, then came down to meet here. When it comes down to meet here, it will now break here and keep going down, that moment we'll say that that market has now done a change of character, and it is often regarded as the major change of character, meaning market now wants to change direction. Have you ever been trading and you're like, oh, if this market breaks here, Otilo is gone already. You are in a buy. You are buying so well. And then you are like, oh, if market eventually breaks somewhere around this area, Omo, that buy is no more valid anymore. Have you ever been in that? Have you ever been in that situation that the market will go into a different direction? Like once this market breaks here, Omo, it's not buying again. No, let me just kukuma close. It's going to sell massively. When you are saying that, it simply means that the structure that you already pictured in your head is about to change its course, and, and that market is going to go in towards the other side. All right. So this is now a break of character. This is a change of character, otherwise known as a change of direction. But the last but not the least, how do I identify when it reaches here? How do I know that it will not just go up from here? What about if it reaches here and doesn't drop and start to sell? What are the 3 ways I can identify, 2 ways or 3 ways that will make me to identify if the market is going to go up? Sorry, it's going to, since it's already coming down to sell, all right? Since it's already coming to meet this previous low, that means it will break here and it will continue to sell. Now, when it reaches here, how do I identify? What is one way, that you can use to identify whether it will break such area, right? What is one way you can use to identify whether it will break such rate? Because the mistake that some of us traders, because it's already coming down here, let me tell you what some of us do. Because it's already coming down here, you now run and put your, okay, yeah, it's about to break, let's go. You now run and put your trade here, your TP is here. You then put your SL somewhere around here. Abi, that's what some of us do. Expecting it to do what? Expecting it to fall and sell, Abi? Without actually waiting for it to break. And even if it breaks, sometimes it doesn't break properly. Sometimes it might come here and shoot back up again. Right? And shoot back up and begin to sell. Have you ever been in this situation when you thought something was going to break? And then when it reaches that area, instead of it to break, it shoots back up again. I have already put your trade that it's going to break. A lot of us, even me sometimes, But there are ways you can now determine whether that thing is going to sell at that point or it is not going to sell at that point, right? And when it comes there and doesn't sell, we call it invalid or valid change of character. And you have to be careful. How do we identify? One, I'm going to use candlesticks for this one. I'm going to draw fake candlesticks for this one. Let me clear all the clearables. Pay attention. How do I draw candlesticks now? I can use my trend line to draw a candlestick. Now, let's say this is the market selling, right? Let's say this is the market selling. So let's say the market was already selling, right? So let's say the market was already, now I can draw this actually. I can draw this instead of using this thing. Okay. No, guys, give me a minute. I'm almost done. So we can enter the next. We can enter, let me use highlights. Good. Let's say this was the market selling, right? No. Sweet. Let me use brush red 4. Good. So let's say this is the market selling, right? Market is selling, right? And you are like, oh, this market is selling, like it's coming down, like it's about to break structure, right? When do you know it's a valid change of structure? When do you know that this thing is valid and it's going to break? One, if that market sells and closes in full candle without any wick. If that market sells and closes in full candlestick, in full one, it is valid. It is valid if the market sells and breaks with a full candlesticks, breaks it well. It broke it well. It broke it well. Emphasis on breaking it well. He broke it well with a full candlestick. He broke it well. I'm emphasizing on the well because sometimes it might just break small. Some of us will jump in. He broke it well with a full candlesticks. It is a valid change of character. Me, for example, sometimes I'll wait for it to break with 2 to 3 candlesticks. Like it will break. Let me take that away. Sometimes I wait for it to break 1 candlestick, 2 candlestick, and then on the second candlestick, here I can now enter so that we know that it will do what? It will bar and fall down and keep selling. So, but you don't need to do that. When it breaks with a full candlestick, very well, right? You are good to go. It's a valid change of structure. Full candlesticks. If it breaks and closes, sorry, not breaks. If it breaks and closes with a full candlestick, most of the time, obviously, full red candlestick because it's a sell. So if it breaks and closes with a full red candlestick, full red, it must be full and red without any wick. It doesn't have any wick. There's no wick on it. You guys know what wick is, Abi? Without any wick on it, full red candlestick without any wick. If you like, you see full green candlestick, you now enter. Full red candlestick without any wick. You are good to go, right? You are what? You are good to go. Now, in the case whereby it broke with only a wick. In the case whereby it did what? It broke, but it was only a wick that came out. It broke, but inside the breaking, it was a wick that came out. It broke with a wick. It closed with a wick. It is a red candlestick, oh, but that red candlestick closed with a wick. Run. Did we get it? It broke, but it broke with a wick. It was a wick that ended it. That candle finished with a wick at the end before a new one is beginning to come out. Don't enter. Run. So 1, if it is valid, it must break with a wick. Sorry, it must break with a full red candlestick. If it is going to be valid, if you are looking at it, this market is about to break, and it was a full red candlestick. Often 1 to 2 red candlesticks, full, you are good to go. But if it was a red candlestick, but it closed and broke, finished with a wick, leave that market. That's number 1, right? Leave that market. Next, if the candle that broke first, excuse me, guys, I'm looking at my paper, be my writing. Give me a minute, guys. But did we get up to this point? Let me know if you have gotten up to this point. If we got anything up to this point. Okay, only Collins has gotten. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. This video will be out, so you can always rewatch it, like during your leisure time. You can, come on and then rewatch during your leisure time, right? But guys, give me a minute. I'm trying to see. I'm trying to look at my note because I'm confused a bit. Okay. So the second one now, right? Okay. So the second one now is, right? The second one now is the second one now is, right? Now, this thing I'm explaining, either change of character, change of structure, BOS, right? Either change of character, change of structure. This thing I'm explaining now can apply to either change of character or even BOS, right? So whether the market is changing of character or trying to create the BOS, this thing can apply. Now, the second one now is if 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 the first candlestick, right? If the first candlestick here closed with a wick, right? If the first candlestick, excuse me, if the first candlestick here closed with a wick, there may be another red candlestick as well. So this is the second one, when not to enter. The first one, you already know when to enter. The second one, when not to enter. So the second one of when not to enter, I only gave the first one of when to enter. The second one of when not to enter. The first one of when not to enter is when, if he closes with a wick, that's when not to enter. That's the first one. When not to enter, if he closes with a wick. When not to enter, when to enter now. The second when to enter is if he closes with a wick and another candlestick forms again, but that candlestick that forms again, the wick of this one is longer than that one. Did you get it? Let me write it out. So let me say it again. Good. Let me put my 4 to 1. Okay, cool. Mhm. If you look at my screen, you see what I'm trying to explain, right? So you can see that when to enter now, you can see that this finished in a week. This finished with a week, and another one started again and finished with a week, right? You can see that this finished with a week, and another one started again and closed on that. The second one started again and closed on a week. It is valid for you to enter that break of structure. It is valid when the first one finished in a week, but the second one decided to finish in a week and is longer. The week is longer than the first one. The week is longer than the first one, right? The week is longer than the first one. Just trying to make it small for the person that said they couldn't say it. I think I made a mistake already. Let me just go back to how we were. Oh my God. Who said they can't see properly? It's because of you now. That's I'm struggling with this. You would have just zoomed your you would have you would have zoomed your kidney. It's because you said that, so I was trying to make it sing properly. Now we are stuck. Yeah, it's fine. Next time, zoom your Zoom screen with from your phone. You will see it very well. Okay, cool. So you can see what I was trying to say here, yeah? So the first one finished with a week, but then the second one again finished with a week, but this week is longer than the first week. This week is longer than the first week, right? This week is longer than the first week, right? You can see that this second week is longer than the first. It might even be on the same level. The funny thing is that it might be on the same level, right? Both candlesticks might be on the same level. They might be on the same level, right? But for some reason, the second 1 week is longer than the first one. It is valid for a sell, right? It is valid for a sell. So these are the two ways you can enter a sell. One, if it's a sell. One, if the candlestick finishes on a full red candle. Sometimes you can wait for the second red candle to come out, the second full red candle to come out, then you can enter for a sell. Two, if the second candlestick with a wick is longer than the first candlestick with a wick, you can enter for a sell. If you're on this call and you're writing, it will be good because you can go back to what you have written before. But if you're not writing, wow, because how would you remember all these plenty talks? Right? Even me that is doing the teaching, I have to write things down because sometimes I forget, although I already know these things, but skip my head sometimes. So you can see here. So this is it. But when not to enter is if a candlestick finishes with a wick, you should do what? You should run. Right? You should do what? You should run. So this is basically how, most of the time, how to identify, you know, how to identify um excuse me, guys. How to identify This is basically how to identify, how to take a break of structure. Sorry, how to take the trade, right? If it is breaking. Now, even if it's a break of structure, the same thing, right? Because what I explained is in terms of a change of character, and this is for a sell. Even if it's a break of structure and it was for a buy, right? If it was a break of structure and it was for a buy, the same thing follows, right? If it was a break of structure and it was a buy, the same thing will follow. Let me show you. So let's say this is a break of structure. How do you know that the market is eventually going to break? How do you know that this market is going to break? There are ways you can identify, right? There are ways you can identify. First, let's say, let me remove this. First, let's say that the candlestick here that forms here, in order for it to break and start buying, let's say that the candlestick that forms here, right, finishes on a full green candle. Finishes on a what? On a full green candle. This the candlestick that is going to buy from here finishes on a full green candle, right? Finishes on a full green candle, right? Finishes on a full green candle. Most of the time, as I said, you might wait for the second one to form. As I said, me sometimes, yes, the first one is okay, but me sometimes I'll just wait for the second candlestick to form first, right? I'll wait for the second candlestick to form before I can now even give, I'll just wait for the second one to form, second full green candlestick to form before I can give that trade for a buy or say, oh, that trade is a major break of structure or is a valid break of structure. In order for me to say that this market will break and go up and come down and go up again, creating break of structure, right? In order for me to say that, there must be two green candlesticks that will appear and close without any wick. Two green full body candlesticks that must appear without any wick. Now, in the case whereby the candlestick appeared and closes on a wick, in the case whereby the candlestick appears and closes on a wick, right, and closes on a wick, in the event whereby the candlestick appears and do what, and closes on a wick. Let me remove this one. Oh my dots. And closes on a wick. We're about to round up quickly, guys. That candlestick appears and does what, and closes on a wick. So let's say, no, not that, people. Obviously wick, yeah. So and closes on a wick, right? Or opens with a wick, not closes, opens with a wick, right? One. Here, right? You should run, right? You should run. That's number one. Number one is that you should run. That's number one, right? So it opens with a wick, all right, and closes well, right? You should run. Now, in the case whereby, the candlestick now, another candlestick appears, right? And that candlestick also appears and closed with a wick. That candlestick also appears and closed with a wick. But the first wick is still higher than the second wick. But the first wick is still higher than the second wick. If you're not seeing, zoom in with your phone. Zoom in so you can see that the first wick is still higher than the second wick. Even in the case whereby the first wick, after two candles have appeared, and the first wick is higher than the second wick, don't enter, exit as well. Two candles have now appeared, and both closed with a wick. Both opened with a wick, but the first candlestick has a higher wick than the second one that formed. Don't enter that market. The only place you will enter is if the second candlestick that formed, the wick is higher than the first one. If the second candlestick that formed, the wick is higher than the first one, then that buy is now valid, right? Then that buy is what? Is now valid. That buy you are expecting is now valid. I don't know if you get it. And that will be the end. I don't know if you get it. If you get when to enter, when not to enter now. Did we get it? When to enter. If the trade closes on a full candlestick, you can enter. That's when to enter. If the trade closes on a full candlestick, you can enter. That's when to enter. 2, when not to enter. When not to enter. If the trade opens and finishes with a wick, don't enter. When to enter. If the buy candlesticks opens with a full body, enter. If the buy opens with a wick, opens and closes with a wick, don't enter. When to enter. Again, the second one of when to enter. If there are two candlesticks that appears, and the second one wick is longer than the first one that appeared initially, when to enter. The second when to enter. If there are two candles that appears, and the second one wick is higher than the first one that appeared, you can enter. When to enter. So there are two candlesticks that will form. The first one formed and it created a wick. Then the second one formed and it created a wick, but that wick is higher than the first one. Enter. When not to enter is the direct opposite. When the first week is higher than the second week, don't enter. Write it down. If you did not get it, this video will be out today on YouTube. Watch it. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. Let's quickly look at XAUUSD and the movement that we're expecting for the week. And then let me stop recording because there's no need. This is a long record. We hope this thing was recording, by the way. Because why can't I? Okay, I'm not host. I have to stop recording it from here. Yeah, if you don't at the end of the day you didn't really get so much info. Don't worry. It's once the recording is out, just go to YouTube and